and welcome to the Alpha Movement Podcast. My name is Tom Foxley, and on today's show we are joined by the bearded CrossFitter that is Adam Ratcliffe. So we talk about, the reason why I wanted to get him on the show is because he was a previous personal training client of mine, at Full Circle Fitness, which is a gym in Cambridge, and he embodied everything I wanted to teach. He really took a hold of the whole lifestyle thing. He made training, he made mobility, he made nutrition a huge part of his life, and he went from someone that frankly wasn't very happy where he was to someone who is now so far ahead of what is possible and what he thought was possible. So if you're someone who is beginning their journey in fitness, or thinking about, or even worried about beginning a journey in fitness, this is the episode to listen to. He is an inspiration, frankly. God, that was far too nice of me. But yeah, he is truly an inspiration. So he's someone to listen to, and yeah, enjoy the show. But before we get into it, I want to remind you of the Alpha Movement Academy. The Academy is a chance for you to upgrade your life in all areas, and we're getting a huge number of people in. We're getting a number of people that I'm so happy to have in, and so happy that I can help these guys piece together all the different bits of their life. And we are closing the door next Friday. So next Friday, let me bring up my calendar, is Friday the 12th of August. So Friday the 12th of August 2016. That is the last chance you have to get into the academy for this month. There's just so much stuff in there already. I don't want to get you overwhelmed if you join any later. So for this month, last thing, 12th of August, and you can join the academy by going to alphamovement.co/academy if you want to absolutely crush your mobility and just become the ultimate version of you. Now, let's get on with the show. So Adam, welcome to the show. How are you doing, buddy?
Hey buddy, I'm good. I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really, really well. So why don't we start off with telling us a bit about yourself and kind of how the bearded CrossFitter came about?
Okay, well, obviously, as you said, I'm Adam. I'm 33 years old, and I started training sort of seriously about 18 months ago now. Decided to have a bit of a lifestyle change, needed to get myself fitter. So joined a gym, and that's where I met your good self, obviously. And it's all just really taken off from there. I found that I've got a real passion for it, really enjoy it, and the positive effects it started to have on my life meant that I really wanted to continue. So it's just gone from strength to strength. The bearded CrossFitter has come about since I started CrossFit about 6 months ago, and friends and family wanting to track my progress and seeing the positive changes it was having on me, both physically and mentally, and they all wanted some updates. So I started posting more and more stuff on social media, and then someone called me the bearded CrossFitter during a workout, and I thought that had a good ring to it, so I just started calling myself it, and it's gone from there, really.
Perfect. So I think the best place to start out is why you started training, why you felt like you needed a bit of a lifestyle shift, and kind of what you were looking to get out of it initially.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm honest, that this is part of the thing with Hope, that people will take interest from my story a little bit, because I'm just a normal guy who was plodding along through life, and had been doing what a lot of guys my age had been doing through their 20s, and that was drinking a lot and not living an amazingly healthy lifestyle. I worked in bars, and the associated side effects of that kind of lifestyle, you take for granted how fit you are when you're younger, and then it took a bit of a seismic shake in my personal life, in the breakdown of a relationship, which is obviously true of a lot of people when something changes like that, for me to want to make a positive change in my life. And I thought, well, I could either go out and party every weekend to try and make myself feel better, or I can do something positive with the energy that I've got, and I decided on that. So I ended up ringing a few gyms, and then the one I stuck with was because the owner, I listened to what he had to say, and he really understood what I was saying, and I just got a bit of a connection with the guy, and he understood why I wanted to start training, and it all went from there, really.
Yeah, I think this is a really good time to point out as well that that where you met me and that gym with Simon Goswell at Full Circle Fitness is a fantastic facility in Cambridge. It's a really good one to be part of. Just wanted to get that in there. But so what was your fitness like at kind of a child level when you were younger?
Well, this is the thing. When I was a kid and into my teens, I was very athletic. Just any sport I could possibly do, I would do. And I had quite a natural level of fitness, which I now see that I took for granted. High metabolism. I was very fast, quick runner, good at football, good at most sports. And I played sports competitively right the way through until my late teens, early 20s. So I played a lot, and it was a huge part of my life. And then it just took a bit of a back seat when life and jobs and things like that got in the way as I got a bit older.
It's really common. It's like it's something you see the whole time. Just guys that they're very athletic at school, and then just life happens, and then
Absolutely.
yeah. So why I really wanted to get you on the show, as I said beforehand, is because you really kind of embodied everything that kind of I taught I strove to taught you to teach you about like kind of making it your lifestyle and like kind of understanding why, and I think that's really paid dividends for you. So
Absolutely.
so why, like, what are the big things that you took away from your beginnings of training?
I think that you have a bit of a shock to the system when you go from nothing, and you don't regularly train, you don't go to the gym very often, you don't really look after yourself, and then suddenly you step foot into that world. It can be really daunting for people because it is such a huge sort of culture shock. Um, but the best thing to do is just to embrace it, and that's what I did. I realised that I wanted a certain goal, and that was to be healthier and happier and fitter. Um, I'm not going to lie about my intentions when I first started. They were more aesthetic. I wanted to look good. I wanted to make myself feel better because I wasn't feeling great about myself. But it only took a matter of weeks of spending time with coaches such as yourself and the other guys that coached me at Full Circle that made me realize that it's a whole package that you've got to look at, and then everything else comes with it. So I started to understand that you need to commit yourself to it, and it is a lifestyle change, but it's one that pays absolute dividends if you give it the respect it deserves. So I think what I took from it was, it's not that I have to live this really boring, horrible lifestyle. In fact, quite the opposite. The energy levels that I will get and the increase in my happiness and feeling of well-being will actually contribute to a much more rounded lifestyle. So as long as I had faith in that and I stuck with it, when it then started to kick in, that was able to help with my motivation going forward. It was tough at first, and you have tough times, but I was my biggest critic, and I think that's what I took from it, was the fact that every time I was going into the gym, everything I was doing was me making a positive choice to change my life for the better. And I look back on it now, 18 months down the line, and just think how far I've come in that time. But I also look forward and go how much further I can go with it. So that's what's exciting. It becomes exciting for you when you really embrace it.
So what kind of actually let's go for what kind of practical things did you kind of underestimate initially? Like what were the things that you kind of thought you didn't really realize would play a big part in your kind of health?
I think the biggest thing has got to be the flexibility and mobility element of training. I totally did not give the gravitas that was required to making your body as mobile as it can possibly be. You think that you're going to go into a gym and you're just going to if you keep lifting weights, you'll eventually get stronger. And if you're going to eat a load of protein, it's going to make you bigger. And if you keep running on a treadmill, it's going to make you faster. And it's just not the way. That constantly things will come up against it. So I think understanding how things work is crucial. So a little bit of research and a little bit of taking that initiative yourself. Your coaches can only do so much for you because they've only got so much time with you, but they can give you the tools that you need to then go and better things yourself. So I found that actually researching a little bit more, and I became fascinated by it, how your body works, why this hurts when this isn't working properly, and vice versa. A better understanding is crucial. So I think that, coupled with the fact that nutrition, you just can't out-train a bad diet. That sentence that you said to me about 18 months ago still rings true with me every single day. And every time I think about what I want for my dinner, it often goes through my head. You just can't out-train a bad diet, and you get to the point where you understand about energy levels as well. It's not just, oh, am I going to get fat or am I going to lose weight? It's, am I going to have enough energy to not only get through a 9-10 hour day at work, but then go and smash out an hour-long workout in the gym after work, as well as then get everything else done and then sleep well and then get up in the morning and do the same again. So I think that nutrition and the flexibility and mobility elements were the two biggest things I took away from speaking to professionals who were experts in their field.
Yeah, I think most people turn up to a gym and they think, oh, I'm just going to lift some heavy shit, especially guys in particular. I'm just going to lift some heavy shit, I'm going to get ripped, and then it'll be like an hour a day of tops effort. But like you really took ownership of the situation. You're like, yeah, like this is my responsibility to change. And like I remember there's one time that I said to you, oh, like some lacrosse balls would be a really good idea, and some resistance bands just for some mobility work. And then I usually have to say this about 5-6 times in my personal training days before people actually went out and got them. And like literally the next session, like the later in the week, you're like, yeah, I got them. And like, oh, what? Oh, brilliant. Oh, we can actually move on. And taking ownership of the situation was a huge benefit to you.
It's crucial. I mean, you don't go to your doctors and ask them to tell you what's wrong with you, and then go, oh, well, that's just their opinion, do you?
Exactly.
That's what you go to an expert for. So that's kind of how I bought into it. These people know more than I do, but they can help me get to where I need to be. But I've got to listen to what they're saying, and that's how it started. And you've just got to stick with it for a bit. And once you do, you then start to feel the benefit. And once you do, that is just addictive. That is absolutely, you crave it more and more and more. And when you start doing things properly, you feel that you're getting stronger. So actually, you might not be lifting huge weights, but you're lifting correctly. And then suddenly 2 weeks later, you're at that huge weight that you thought you wanted to be at initially. But it's because you've done it properly.
Yeah, I remember the intimidation. I hope you don't mind me sharing this, of like you looking at the bar for a deadlift to begin with. I think
Absolutely.
It was like 40 or 50 kilos and they're nothing much, and it was just like teaching you how to move, teaching you how to like bend at the hip properly, maintain neutral spine, because that was a big challenge to begin with. And then like you really put your ego to one side. Mm-hmm. And that, I think that was also, as well as taking ownership, like putting your ego to one side and just letting us like kind of guide you was really beneficial to you.
I was so proud when I got there, and being someone from an athletic background as well, that's crucial, because I felt like I had a sort of level of knowledge about that kind of world. But yeah, a back injury had meant that deadlift was a dirty word in my head. The idea of doing a deadlift, I thought I was just going to break in half, to do it. So there was an element of fear. I was scared. I was scared of what would happen if I picked that bar up. And yeah, just doing, 40, 50 kilos, which now 18 months later, I look back and think, what that was like. But it was that learning things the correct way. I still get complimented now on the standard of things like my squat technique. But that's because
that makes me so proud.
But that's it, absolutely. And it's, I spent hours with you guys at that first gym, being taught, constantly going through it, just doing empty bars and this and that, and just constantly working on tweaks here, make sure this knee goes out and this knee stays, and it's worth it, because now I'm so confident with squatting that I don't have to worry about my form. It's just worrying about getting that really heavy weight back up, which is such a great feeling.
Yeah, it's just focusing on the basics. If you do the basics well, you are sorted.
Absolutely.
So what kind of changes have you seen from starting training to now?
I think there's loads. In fact, it's almost night and day, the difference. There's physical and sort of mental changes, I think, that I've noticed. I'm probably the happiest I've been in a long time. I think that's a huge thing, and I say that to a lot of my friends. I feel great because I'm still not as fit as I can be, and I've got a long way to go until I can really get to what my body's capable of. But I'm so much fitter and so much healthier than I was 18 months ago. I feel incredible. I wake up feeling happier. My days are not such a drag. Getting through work is better. I've got more energy to do things in the evenings. I look forward to going to the gym. The gym for me now isn't a chore I have to do at the end of the day. It's my favourite part of the day. It's what I look forward to. And then I've earned my reward of sitting and chilling and, relaxing afterwards. I also think just my approach to life generally, I approach everything with a lot more sort of a positive mindset. I'm confident in who I am again, and I feel really good. Look at then the physical side of it. I'm infinitely stronger than I was. I'm a lot healthier. My body can cope with a lot more. So, you know, when you move house, I helped a friend move house the other day, and that was an indication of how much I've come on, because taking very heavy furniture up 3 flights of stairs 18 months ago, it'd have killed me. I'd have been a crumpled mess crying in the fetal position downstairs. But you manage it and you just get through it, and it just makes you better at daily life. But I feel better, apart from having to replace a few shirts and get a couple of new suits because my thighs wouldn't fit in the trousers anymore, which I don't see as a bad thing personally. But I think that they're the main changes. But like I said, it's actually the aesthetics just come second to me. It's the fact that I feel healthier and happier, and everything else is just a bonus.
Which is interesting because the aesthetics were the original goal.
Absolutely.
You quickly realise that they're just a byproduct of all the other stuff.
If you go for the aesthetics, the happiness doesn't come necessarily. But if you go for the health and the happiness, then the aesthetics come as a byproduct of it. And that's something I remember all of you guys, all you coaches, when I first met you all, was to say, to get my mindset round to the reason why I'm doing this. Why are you doing this? What is your journey about? What do you want to do and what do you want to achieve? And as soon as it became, I want to be the healthiest and most efficient version of myself I possibly can be, that's when my training changed, because I approached it in a much different way.
What do you think the shift was then? Like, what do you think the trigger was?
Do you know what? I think it was because I realised that I wanted, when you start to see progress, once you've committed to the process itself and you start to see progress in what you're capable of, and you go up a weight in what you're lifting, or you're able to do a workout for a bit longer and push yourself a bit harder, you realise that you're getting much better. And I think that's really exciting, is when you start getting better. And that's when my brain started going, I could really achieve stuff here. And I think from someone who had such an athletic childhood and teen years, who never quite achieved, I'm one of the quintessential, I could have made it pro as a footballer guys, that I probably, there's thousands of them out there who never quite made it to be a professional sportsman, and they thought they were going to at some point. I'm one of those guys who talks about injuries and all that kind of stuff. But I just remember one day getting this feeling of, if I really commit to this, there's no stopping me, like what I could achieve and what I could get to. It's really exciting. And I found as well, surrounding myself with the people who I was meeting, fellow trainer, other trainers and people being trained, they were a really decent group of people who had really nice outlooks on life. Everyone was quite happy. It was a really nice community. The trainers were such sort of life-affirming, positive people. I found that quite addictive to be around. I found it a positive influence on me. So the whole package really just made me want to focus in that area. And now I just genuinely wouldn't be without it.
So after kind of getting your baseline back, you started doing a lot more CrossFit stuff. Like obviously, my training has always been heavily influenced by CrossFit, and my programming was. So I think that's where the kind of the attraction to it came. But what made you kind of make the leap to go to CrossFit?
CrossFit was something I'd always been interested in, because I was one of those people who could never work. I wanted to be able to do everything. I don't particularly want to focus on anything. I respect all different disciplines. I respect weightlifters. I respect runners. I respect athletes in general. I started doing the obstacle course races, things like Spartan races and stuff like that, which requires an all-round level of fitness. And CrossFit offers the ability to try and be good at everything. And that was really exciting to me. I didn't necessarily want to be someone who was just constantly lifting weights. I also didn't want to be someone who was just going out running all the time, because I did want to get bigger and stronger. And so I was going to get too lean if I was going to do that. But I didn't also want to be big and strong, but not be fit and not be able to run and compete and be athletic, because I've got a very competitive streak that runs through me. So I knew that was going to be unleashed. I've got to give credit to we mentioned the gym where you and I first met, and I've got to give credit to that gym generally, and the concept under Simon there. That's what helped change my life and my mindset, because that was about health and well-being and changing your attitude towards respecting your body and respecting what you're capable of. And that first year of doing that, I totally credit it with changing my life completely. then I was able to go and do CrossFit and give it the respect it deserves. If I'd have started CrossFit right at the beginning, I wouldn't have had the right mindset, and I've gone in with the wrong attitude, and I wouldn't have worked hard enough. And then when it got hard, I would have quit. And that was it. Simon and the guys there, including yourself, instilled in me the right attitude, and that was to not quit when things get hard, and that actually when things get hard, you just need to get better. And that attitude, then I was able to take that and move on and go on to what is a really difficult discipline in CrossFit. But it's an exciting one. And if you've got the right attitude and the right mindset for it, what you can achieve with it is just limitless. So that's kind of why I made that leap. It was scary at first because it was a different discipline, and it was involving, lots of extreme versions of things I'd been doing. High intensity stuff with big barbells is quite intimidating to people, but I'd been given such a good groundwork previously that it didn't scare me, and I knew that it was going to be the next level for me.
Exactly. You've got the movement now. Like,
Yeah.
the movement is key. If you I can't say it enough. If people move well, it's just such a head start.
Absolutely, and I couldn't agree more. And I'm fully converted to that gospel now. It is so important because, I have realised I went through probably a good few years of my life thinking that I had a bad back. I was one of those people who said, I have a bad back, and if I lift heavy things, it hurts my back, so I shouldn't lift heavy things. And actually, what I've got is very long legs with tight muscles in those legs from years of playing football and doing various different things. And I don't respect that. So when I do lift heavy things and then I try and move afterwards, those tight muscles are pulling on my back and making it feel like I have a bad back. I don't. My back's perfectly fine. So that realization and dawning on me was huge, because suddenly I was going, actually, I don't have a weakness in my back, which would be terrifying for anybody, especially someone who's only in their early 30s. What I've got is just tight muscles. Well, I can fix that. Yes, it will take some time, it will take some dedication, but surrounding myself with knowledgeable people who can help me, and learn a bit more about it, then I can change that. But that's, just doing stretching every day to make my muscles better is a lot better than having to go in for back operations, which is what I thought I was going to have to do before I got a better understanding.
And you also got strong. I think that's a hugely underestimated part, like this combination of proper movement patterns and just brute strength as well. Like, strength is never a weakness.
No, and absolutely. And I think I remember you saying to me early doors, okay, so you've got a weakness in your back. That's because your back, you haven't been using it for years because you're terrified of hurting yourself. So actually, we need to do the opposite. You think, don't use your back. Actually, we need to use your back regularly, and we need to start lifting some heavy shit, because that's what we're going to get to, and we're going to need to strengthen those muscles. And that's how I'm now, able to deadlift twice my body weight, because we're getting up to that level because I strengthen those muscles, and then you start to see what you're capable of. But that fear, I think, limits a lot of people. And that's part of what I want to get my message out to people. I am still only 18 months into a very long journey. And I think that, I am someone who lived a sedentary lifestyle through their 20s and didn't look after themselves, relied on a basic level of fitness and took it for granted. And now I'm undoing that. And you are capable of doing it. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter what you're doing in your life. It's just everything is there. You can change it. And I'm surrounded by incredibly inspirational people who I train with, and I love it. I've made some really good friends, and there's people, I train with people 20 years older than me who still kick my ass up and down that gym every single day. And they're a constant inspiration for me because I just want to try and get to that level.
Absolutely. So that kind of brings up the question. Do you say 33 now?
Yes.
Okay, so what would you have told your, let's say, 25-year-old self, and can you place us at that point as well? Like, where were you? What were you doing?
25, I was managing a cocktail bar. So I was working long hours on my feet for anywhere between 14 and 18 hours a day, working 70, 75 hours a week, drinking a lot of booze to get through it, smoking cigarettes because it's the only way you get a break, and probably only eating one meal a day to get me through. So it was not conducive with a healthy
picture of health.
Well, there you go. So this is why, it's even more miraculous that I'm in the position I'm in right now. I think the biggest message I would give is that you will get to what's going to happen to you. I would say to myself, you're going to get to be in your mid-30s and you're going to realize what you are capable of, and you're going to wish that you discovered this when you were younger. You're going to say the sentence, I wish I'd found CrossFit when I was in my mid-20s. You're going to say it probably once a week for a good few months. And instead of waiting for that moment, you can still live your life. You can still have a great, happy life, but commit yourself to making yourself the most efficient and fit and healthy version of yourself, because it will reap its rewards. People will want to be friends with you because you're happier. You'll have a better group of friends because you're healthier, and everything in your life will be easier because you are living a much better lifestyle. I think that's the message I would send to myself.
And what would you say to yourself 18 months ago when you started this journey?
I'd have just said, don't give up. You're going to get to moments where you're going to find this hard. You are going to question why you're doing it. You're going to miss your old ways of just going out and drinking, doing shots of tequila and dancing around, and you can still do that. I'd have stressed that you're not going to have to live some kind of monk lifestyle. You can still enjoy yourself and have a good time, but don't quit, because it is going to have. There's going to come times where you think that your body's not capable of it because of little niggles and things are going to hurt. You're going to get injuries. You are going to have those because what you're doing is you're putting your body through quite a lot of stress. But the rewards, you can't even quantify them. You're going to have people compliment you on how you look, how you're behaving. You're going to have people notice the change in the way you stand, the way you walk. You're going to make new friends. You're going to have a new lease of life, and you're going to be the happiest you've ever been.
Do you remember a particular struggle at all, or a particular time you thought, oh, fuck it, I'm going to quit?
Yeah, do you know what? It was during the workouts. I was always fine with doing the lifting part of it, working through the mechanics. I find that fascinating, understanding the way you do lifts, whether it be cleans or deadlifts or snatches, whatever it was. It was when we got round to the workout part of it, the WOD or the high intensity finisher, whatever your gym calls it, that high intensity 20 to 30 minute crazy workout that's going to get your heart rate up high, keep it there, the one that's going to make you want to vomit at the end of it. At first, I really struggled with that, and it really tested the levels of my fitness, and it really tested my weaknesses that I had. And I think those were the times I knew that I could keep lifting weights and get stronger slowly, but I questioned whether I was going to get fitter with doing that. But that was when the real sort of eye-opening experience of what I'd done to myself during my 20s, and by taking my fitness for granted, that's when it really came to the forefront of my memory, going, actually, this is because you used to smoke and used to drink and used to do all this. You've just got to stick with it. Your body will recover and regenerate, and you will get fitter and you will get stronger. But I think one of the biggest things, and it's probably made into a meme on the internet on a daily basis, but the sentence, it never gets easier, you get better, or you get stronger, is the most poignant thing ever. And if you keep that in your head at all times, it helps you, because there's times when we have new people come to our gym and they look around, and the look of shock on a new CrossFitter's face when they have their first WOD with experienced CrossFitters who are smashing through, a chipper WOD or a 550 rep WOD or something that starts out with 100 press-ups. They just look around going, I'm never going to be able to do this. And actually, the thing I always say to new people is, it never gets easier, you get stronger. I'm struggling as much as you are. It doesn't matter. Everyone works to their own 100%. Your 100% gets better and better the more you come.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth then. Especially with the kind of the thrashing side of things. To be honest, you learn to push yourself harder and harder and harder, and it's tough. It's really tough.
You realise you're not going to die. I think that's it. You realise you're not going to die, and also the thing, there's a lot positive and negative things said about CrossFit. People will have their own views on it, whatever they are. But the one thing that you can't dispute with CrossFit is it's one of the most inclusive communities ever. And if you are intimidated by gyms, if it's something that the thought of going into a gym where there's lots of big guys lifting weights and all this kind of stuff really intimidates you, then CrossFit is a brilliant middle ground because it's the most welcoming environment. And you've got such a wide range of people, from people in their mid 50s right the way down to 19, 20-year-olds. Everyone's working so hard, but they're always still there right at the end. And even if you're the last person finishing a WOD, everyone's cheering you on. Everyone wants you to finish. Everyone wants you to compete and wants you to get to that level. So that's why I think that it's become the phenomenon that it has, because it's so inclusive. And it actually, once you start, you just feel part of something kind of special.
I completely agree. Now's a good time to say as well, all the show notes from this episode and unique download will be at alphamovement.co/bearded crossfitter, just to make you feel good, Adam.
I love it.
So, what are your favourite WODs right now? What are the WODs you look forward to? You turn up and you go, yes, I'm doing that. And what are the ones that you think, oh God, it's that?
Yeah, there's quite a wide range, I have to admit. My favourite WODs, believe it or not, are the ones that when I first started, I literally hated. And it's the ones that are terrifying to look at. It's the ones where you walk in and you look at the board, and actually when you first start, your instinct is to leave, is to make an excuse to go home. Because you think, I'm never going to be able to finish that WOD. They're my favourites because that's one of the huge changes that's happened in my life, is that I'm now at a point where I look at that now and I go, I'm going to smash this. I might not be the quickest. I certainly probably won't be the strongest, but I will still be doing it right at the end. And I think that is the thing. So something where it's 100 of this, then 90 of this, then 80 of this, then 70 of this, then 60 of this, right the way down. You look at that and you just think, I'm going to die. I mean, how long have I got? Have I got 4 hours to finish this? But because it's written up there and because everyone else is doing it, you just do it. And even if you're getting to the point where you can only do one press up at a time and then you have to shake your arms out and do another one and shake your arms out, something like that, they're my favourite kinds of WODs, because you just die in a heap afterwards and you're covered in sweat and you can barely talk, but you really feel like you've had a workout. But I also am a massive fan of the ones that they mix some big lift, like I'm a big fan of power cleans and power snatches and things like that. Something where you can crash some weights around, coupled in with some more gymnastic moves, and then maybe a run or something like that. Something that really varies it up, because I think that you then learn where to get your rests in, where to get your breaths in, how to pace yourself through what is essentially going to be a really tiring workout.
Nice. And then what about the least favourite ones?
Least favourite ones, I would say, are the ones that have, I'm trying to embrace the air bike. I'm trying to embrace it, but it is the killer for a reason. Anything that involves large amounts of calories that need to be burnt on an air bike or a rower really suck. The ones with the buy-ins where you've got to do 35 to 50 calories on an air bike before you're even allowed to start your WOD. That always is kind of painful. And we did do a hero WOD the other day, which was called the Lumberjack 20, which was quite fitting for me, I thought, being, the bearded CrossFitter that I am. But it involved 20 reps of everything that we did, and that was like 7 different moves. But in between each, we had to do a 400-meter run.
Brutal.
That was tough.
Yeah.
That was tough, because you actually look at it, you're running nearly 3,000 meters, as well as doing your 20 deadlifts. That's right at the beginning, so your back's aching a little bit. Then you've got your kettlebell swings, you've got to do squats, and of course burpees, everyone's favourite.
Delicious.
Absolutely. But I think one of the biggest changes for me, as I mentioned, is I love all WODs, because each one is going to be different and it will test me in a different way.
And each one's making you better.
That's it. I mean, there are times when I still throw my toys out the pram and I get a bit, grumpy because I feel like I haven't performed very well, or I do what I did the other day, which was fell off the rig doing my final pull up.
Nice.
Because I was trying to push out the last one without letting go, and my grip went. It involved a spectacular dismount, but I go back, and it doesn't stop me. I always go back and do the next one, and I'm always looking forward to seeing what the WOD is for that day.
Nice. So obviously everything, like, it's not like you get to this level and then you go, all right, that's me done, I'm just going to maintain now. So what are you working towards now? What's your limiting factors and what you're trying to expand?
So much, so much. I still see myself as being a very, very a real newbie with this. I'm still learning so much. Eventual goals are I want to coach. I want to coach CrossFit. That's something I really, really am excited to do. But I also want to compete.
Nice.
And I want to compete in CrossFit competitions. I want to compete in throwdowns between boxes. You know, that happens quite a lot at the moment, and there's more being organised. So, but I also, one of the things is, it sounds like a bit of a cliche, but I kind of want to help other people embrace what they want to do. I am so happy with what I've achieved, and that I attribute completely, getting me started is to the coaches that I met 18 months ago, and then throughout that time, from yourself and Simon and Ange and Isaac, you know, and Joe at Full Circle, right the way through to now Nick helping me out, you know, at CrossFit. Those things, like, that has helped me change my life completely. So I feel that enthusiasm and that passion that I've got for it, I really want to help other people who are probably umming and ahhing, should I do it? Shouldn't I do it? Well, absolutely you should, always. That's always going to be my answer. Yes, you should start exercising regularly. And yes, you should start doing this. And I'm not saying CrossFit is for everyone, but fitness is fitness. And as long as you're doing it right and you've got the right attitude, it's all going to help you.
So to change the line of questioning a tiny bit, you've like what I like about you, you've obviously got a like quite high degree of resilience and fortitude, and you're not going to give in. Where do you think that came from?
Um, I think, do you know what it was? I think that at first it was um, ego, and to a certain extent a little bit of arrogance that wouldn't let me do it, because I didn't want to look like I couldn't do something in front of other people.
Mm.
But what this has taught me, this journey that I'm on, and the last 18 months has taught me about actually changing that into a bit more humility, and actually understanding the process and understanding where I'm going. And now I've got my eyes on the development and where I could potentially be. I've seen a glimpse. The last 18 months has given me a glimpse of just what physically I am capable of. And it's just the start. So now the resilience comes from the fact that I want to see just what I can do. I want to see just how capable I am of being really fit and really healthy and really efficient. And can I get to the point where I can be competing in these WODs, and can I go to these competitions and actually hold my own? And it's all different stages. It's different stages because, you know, whether it's just looking at, I want to be able to lift this by this time, or whether I want to be able to complete this WOD in under this time. You know, the thing with CrossFit, obviously you have your marker WODs, you've got your ones that you're testing your fitness, as well as you've got your heroes. And anybody who does CrossFit all wants to be able to do Murph as quickly as possible, as you know, despite it being horrific. But we all know that it's on at the CrossFit Games. It's regarded as one of the hardest. So you want to see whether you can do it. So I think that's where my resilience now comes from. And I think it's a lot stronger because it's based on really tangible things. It's based on me achieving what I know I can achieve, not that I just want to look good in front of people.
Okay. And what are the most important things you do every day for your health?
So I'm eating better. So that's one of the most important things.
What is eating better for you? What sorts
Understanding
of
more
good
about
diet?
I read about it as much as possible. I learn. No one ever knows everything. So surround yourself with people who do know as much as they can.
Mm.
That helps. So I think that eating better, for me, sleep was a huge thing. I was terrible for going to bed very late, sometimes getting only 3 or 4 hours sleep a night. So making a conscious effort to actually get a good amount of sleep. Now I kind of don't have a choice. I'm so exhausted after training as hard as I do. Sometimes I can't wait to get into bed, which was a huge change for me. So that is a massive change for me. Stretching, that's something that has been a real change for me to try and improve that. So just understanding that training only makes up about 20% of this whole process, and everything else is what you put in your body, the break you give it. I think I was terrible when I first started training, and you probably will be able to echo this. All I wanted to do was just go hard and non-stop, and just in my head it was a case of the more I train, the fitter I'll get, the better I'll be. But I wouldn't want to give myself a break. And actually I've understood about giving yourself a bit of a break here and there, the rest, that sleep is when your muscles rebuild and all that kind of thing. But they'll only rebuild if you've put the nutrition into your body that you need to do and understood that kind of thing. So I think one of the biggest things for me is just opening my mind up to learn more about the process.
Cool. And what I want to ask you is a question that I never get to ask my friends in normal life, and this is why I love the podcast, because I can ask you questions that would be just weird if I asked you this face to face. But who's the first person you think of when you hear the word successful?
Actually, my dad is the first person I think of when I hear the word successful. And that's because as I've got older, I've realised that you don't realise it when you're younger, but how successful he was in raising the family that he has, and he quietly went about his business and has achieved so much, and with no fanfare, nothing like that. He's just a very, very successful man who wants no credit for the success he's achieved. And he just takes satisfaction in the fact that he's got 2 good kids who he's proud of, and that's it. So success, that's who I think of when I hear that word.
Nice. And then another one of those, what do you believe that most other people find controversial or disagree with?
What, generally?
Generally, yeah. We're going weird.
Oh wow, that's
if you
a
don't
tough
have
question.
an answer straight away, we can leave it and go to something else and come back to it maybe.
What most people find controversial,
or just people or group of people.
Well, I think we're oversaturated these days with too much information, but that information comes from, there's no such thing as a non-biased source, so we can't really control who's infuriated by what these days. It all depends on what they read and who they listen to. But I think that politics seems to be something that a lot of people are moaning about, and it's not that we've got more people who understand about it. It's just we're more exposed to it than we used to be. So I think that people, because they read stuff online, and I think it's brilliant that the internet can provide all this information to people, but unfortunately the byproduct of that is that it then elicits some sort of response from people who might not necessarily understand it properly. Nice.
And then, are there any books or resources that you think particularly changed your life, or that you've gifted to other people, or anything like that?
With books, there's a few things I've read. I've read a few different kinds of things to try and see if they have a positive impact on my life. Things that other people have talked about to me, things like The Secret and books on self-help and things like that. I've read them and I like them. I like that kind of, they teach the values, I think, about just having a positive mindset, and it's not about expecting good things. It's about sort of working for them and things like that. But actually, I find that often the more inspirational books are ones by people who've been there and done it. And I take more inspiration from someone who is a living embodiment of success. So, for me as a aspiring CrossFitter, then, watching videos and listening to interviews and reading stuff about the most successful athletes within the CrossFit world is something I find very inspiring. I watched The Fittest on Earth just the other night, in fact, the film about the road to the CrossFit Games, and that was something that I found incredibly inspiring, because it also showed just how bloody hard they have to work in order to get there, which I think is huge. But I've read autobiographies of sporting people. Alex Ferguson has always been a hero of mine because I'm a big football fan, and he achieved unrivaled success in that world. So it was very, very nice to read a book that gives an insight into his mindset and how he got there.
Nice, I like that. I haven't read that Alex Ferguson book, so I'm going to have to check it out.
Definitely worth it.
So the last thing I kind of really want to mention is that you've just signed up to the Alpha Movement Academy, one of the first 5 members, I think you were. You jumped in there early. What made you jump on the academy, and what do you want to get out of it?
Well, there's several reasons. Obviously, I know yourself, and I know how passionate you are about it, and I think that's something that instantly, made me, I believe in it because it's something that you believe in passionately. But then obviously even after that, then looking at the content of what you're trying to provide, that is appealing to any aspiring athlete, because it's addressing not just the obvious things of how to train better, but it's the things that you don't necessarily think about, and it's that expertise that novice athletes and people who are trying to get into a better level of fitness, they need that expertise, and they need it as early as possible, because there's no point in training for however many years, and then it's actually better if right at the beginning you can have someone turn around and say, unless you get this right, and unless you get this nutrition right, and unless you can get your movement better and your flexibility and mobility better, you're not going to achieve what you're capable of. I think that's so important. And because that was drummed into me at an early stage in my training, I understand it a lot more. And now I see that the Alpha Movement initiative and what you're trying to achieve is to equip passionate, aspiring athletes with everything they need to achieve anything they want. And so I buy into that philosophy, because it is literally, it's all about what you want to do. I mean, yourself as a knowledgeable expert in this area could tell me as much as you want to tell me, but until I put it into action, it will just be information that's out there. But being given those tools gives you every opportunity to achieve incredible things.
Nice. Cheers, man.
No worries.
So I think people are going to love to find out a bit more about you.
Mm-hmm.
And where can they find out a bit more about the Bearded CrossFitter?
Well, at the moment, I'm sort of slowly building an online presence. So I'm on Instagram at the Bearded CrossFitter. I'm also on Twitter at Bearded CrossFitter. And I also have a Facebook page that you can like, and I post updates on there. If I start to get enough of an interest, then I will look at potentially having a website, but that's not something that really is necessary at the moment. I'm just happy to share something I'm very passionate about and enthusiastic about. I'm not expecting everyone else to be as enthusiastic about it as I am, but if there's anybody out there who is enthusiastic and wants to learn a bit more, I'm a novice really in the grand scheme of things who's starting to really get into something. So I can offer that kind of, that feedback on what it was like in my journey and my experience, because I sort of stress to people, I am just a normal guy who has started a journey into fitness and health. I am not some crazy muscle-bound athlete who's been doing this since he was 18 and has now just found a new discipline. I've completely turned my life around, and I want to get that message out to other people who go, oh no, I'm past it now. No, I was too, I drank too much, or I'm a bit fat, or, I used to smoke, so I probably can't do it. You absolutely can do it. And that's what I want to be, is kind of like a living embodiment of the fact that you can achieve these things. And I am still only part way into a very long journey, but I'm enthusiastic to share that with anybody who's interested.
I think that's exactly why you're an interesting person to follow, because you are like, you're not a Rich Froning. You're not like the 10 out of the 10 in terms of the pursuit. You're on your journey, and your journey is very interesting in the way that you've kind of adopted it and the way you're looking to get results. So I'd recommend everyone goes and checks that out.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And thank you so much for jumping on the show.
No worries. No, it was a pleasure. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Alpha Movement podcast. You can find all today's show notes at alphamovement.co/bearded crossfitter. So just another quick reminder, if you did enjoy the show, please head over to iTunes, leave me a 5-star review. It helps my ego and it helps us grow. And also head over to alphamovement.co/academy if you're willing to completely upgrade every aspect of your life. Every month we work on a different topic. We work on mobility, work on nutrition, training, sleep, like everything you need to be the ultimate man and the ultimate version of yourself. So head over there, and I'll see you in the academy.